For our double review today, I have two fantastic short and sweet platformers for you to enjoy with Triple Take and Lords of Exile. We are starting things off with Triple Take. So this is a platformer that takes place in a video game. I know, duh. But it's a game within a game. There's something strange going on with this program. Something may be trying to get out, and we're going to have to solve this mystery, well, by walking, running, and jumping. The hook beyond the meta-narrative of Triple Take is the level design itself. Each level is actually composed of the same level done three different ways. An easy way, a normal way, and a hard way. When you beat one way, it moves you immediately on to the next. And as you go up the variations, the level design will change in subtle or not so subtle ways. Areas that were completely open may now have obstacles. Things that or environmental hazards may have more or different kinds. And it kind of drills in this evolution of level design and makes it a really great example for designers to study in terms of how you can take a simple foundation and tweak it in different ways. As for our movement physics, this is kind of your standard platform. You'll be able to walk, jump, and you'll be able to kind of bounce off a variety of environmental obstacles and avoid a lot of hazards. If you hit something that's hazardous and kills you, you'll go back to the start of that specific phase of the level. And there are going to be boss fights and other unusual things to find in this game. I don't want to spoil the twist of it, but it does kind of go to some very interesting ideas in terms of the game within the game kind of design. As for the difficulty, this would be, I would say, on the moderate side, even on the quote-unquote hard level, or hard variant of each level. It shouldn't be anything too tricky for someone who is familiar with 2D platforming. And this one is somewhat on the short side. I think it took us about 2 to 3 hours to get it all done. And of course there are hidden collectibles to find and go through it to try and get it all. All in all, I would say that this is a very solid platformer. It does a very interesting twist with its story, but the gameplay itself should be familiar to anyone who has played any kind of platforming in the past 10 years. And given the length, it definitely can fill an interesting afternoon or weekend for the platformer fan. Now we switch over to some Castle Actionvania with Lords of Exile. When evil ninjas, monsters, and more overrunning the land, it is up to Gabriel to jump, hack, and slash his way to saving the day across 8 levels. Our gameplay here feels very reminiscent of that of the Curse of the Moon version of Bloodstained, in that you'll be using kind of a modernized take on the Castlevania formula. Your character still walks very slowly and kind of jumps and then drops like a cement block, but you'll be exploring the variety of levels, killing the enemies, and listening to some very fantastic music. Some of these themes go really hard. After each level, you'll gain a power/upgrade, including double jump, a longer attack, and more. The game features a bonus mode you play as the character you save at the end of the main game that kind of gives you more of a speedrun friendly alternative. Now, the difficulty and challenge of this one, again, kind of occupies that same level of like a Castlevania or Bloodstained style. Enemies can of course knock you off of vines or just knock you right back into a pit. There are death spikes, death pits, and well, death fire all around you. But the game will checkpoint whenever you kind of go from one screen or screen transition to the next area. So you're not going to be too penalized for losing time. Each boss fight here is your kind of classic fixed pattern fight. Once you learn their patterns, the fight should go relatively smoothly. The final boss can be a little bit on the trickier side, as this is the only boss that all their attacks default to doing double damage rather than just 1 pip of your health. But all in all, the game I would say is going to be moderate to moderately challenging. If you've played any of the kind of like modern retro arcade action-y kind of games released in the last few years like Odalis, Blazing Chrome, and so on, then Lords of Exile should fit perfectly within that line. This game, I would say, once again, like Triple Take, is on the shorter side. We actually went through the entirety of it outside of the boss rush mode in just about 2.5 hours. So not that bad in terms of length, but you definitely get a quality over quantity here. And I do, to once again go back to the music, I love how this sounds like it comes right out of the Sega Genesis and that kind of like raw MIDI chip that goes with it. If there's any issues I have with this one, is that the game does feature a very strange decision to input buffer when it comes to attacking and jumping. So what happens is, if you jump and then hit the attack button, the game will kind of cue the attack the second the rest of the jump animation is going. But if you're trying to do a double jump, this can kind of eat the input of the double jump, meaning that you won't make it and then you'll just fall into a pit. And it's kind of weird to have this kind of buffering in a game like this. And I would, I think, prefer to just that you can only kind of accept one input at a time. It is not a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination, but it can lead to some awkward jumps here and there. And if you're hoping for, again, like a very lengthy game, like kind of like the hard mode that was added to Odalis, Lords of Exile does not do that. Still, this is a game that it knows what it wants to be, and it executes it almost flawlessly. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, this is definitely for the action platformer fan, looking for another take on that modern retro goodness, and it is certainly an easy recommendation by me. With that said, we're going to wrap the reviews up here. Triple Take was played, I believe, with a press key provided by the developer, and Lords of Exile was played with a retail one. Let me tell you your game for a future stream video. It does not have to be modern or retro, then please reach out. If you play these games, let me know what you think about them in the comments down below. And with that said, have a great rest of your night. Thanks for watching, and a special thank you to our Patreon supporters. If you enjoyed the video, do the YouTubing stuff, be sure to visit our Discord and Patreon, and you're interested in more in my thoughts on design, check out my game design books.